Welcome. Today's lesson is about the present perfect. I've written that on the board right here. I have some examples here because the basic idea between the present perfect and the simple past is that when you have the present perfect, you don't have any time. Look at this, for example. I have been to Montreal. When was I in Montreal? There's no time around when I was in Montreal, so I need to say I have been. Have been is the present perfect. How do you make the present perfect, by the way? You use the verb have or has, and then the past participle of the verb. Now the past participle is that third form of the verb that you learned, like do, did, done, see, saw, seen. It's that last form of the verb that is the past participle. So that's what you use in that second place. The first verb is always have or has. You know, it's has for he, she, and it, and so on. Here, in this second sentence, I actually have a time. I have last summer. So that is why I'm going to be using the simple past for this. When you have a time in your sentence, you always use the simple past. No time, use the present perfect. Here's another example. She has finished her homework. When did she finish her homework? Well, we don't really know, but she has finished. As of now, she has finished her homework, so she's off watching TV or something like that. Here, she finished her homework an hour ago. An hour ago is the time, so I need to use the simple past. So you'll see in these four examples, if you have a time, you need to use the simple past, last summer, an hour ago. If you don't have the time, you use the present perfect. I have been to Montreal. She has finished her homework. Now the present perfect is used in three different circumstances. Let me illustrate here with a timeline. So I'll call the first one A, and the timeline is like this. Here's the present, here's the future, out there somewhere. The timeline, the first use of the present perfect is when something happens in the past, but, as I said earlier, there is no time. So I'm going to put a time with a question mark. Things like, I have read that book. I have been to that restaurant. So you're going to use that any one-time past action that you don't know the time around that action, you use the present perfect. The second use of the present perfect, I'll call this B, is, there's the present, there's the future, when there are more than one time, multiple times in the past. So I may know the number of times. Maybe I know this is the first time, and this is the second time, and this is the third time. However, I don't know the times that each one of these things happen. So the times are still unknown. I know the number of times. I could say 3, 4, 5 times. But when you have a number, by the way, you're always going to use the present perfect. If you say, I have had 3 cups of coffee this morning, have had because 3 cups of coffee, that's a number. So you're going to be using the present perfect with any number. There are also words that are like numbers in the present perfect. Things like many. Well, how many is many? 4, 5, 6. A few, 2 or 3. Several, 3, 4, 5. What are some others? Let me see. A couple. A couple is only 2. Never, 0. So if I have any number, including the word never, which is 0, I'm going to be using the present perfect, and that's the second use for the present perfect. The third use, I'll call this C, and there's our timeline, and this is the one that most students learn about the present perfect. It is something that starts in the past. I'll start it right here. So maybe I moved to Vancouver in 2006, and I've been living here, all the way until now. So this arrow comes all the way to the little 0 there, which is now. So when something starts in the past and it continues to now, then you also use the present perfect. Some examples. I have learned English since 2006. I have lived in that house since I first came to Canada. So this is often used, this idea of the present perfect is often used with the word since, which is the beginning time. So I'm just going to write that down. Since, S-I-N-C-E. Since is the beginning time. And the word for, which is how long this time is. So you could say, I have lived in Vancouver for 5 years. I have lived in Vancouver since 2006, let's say. So since and for are often used with this last one. Another word that's often used with this last one is so far, because so far means from the beginning until now. So you say, so far I have seen, I have read 3 of his books. So far I have read 3 of his books. 2 reasons for using the present perfect. I used a number, 3, and I said so far. So that also uses the present perfect. Okay, this is a basic introduction to the present perfect. There's of course a lot more to learn about it. So study the page that you're on right now, take the quiz at the end, and good luck. Bye for now.